question. Can you hear me in the back? Okay. The first thing that I will ask is that you all stand and we will say together the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and for the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated, friends. The second thing we always do before we bring the meeting formally to order is I always ask the assembled body to speak out the names of any of our neighbors that we have lost in the preceding year. And we can be a little bit inclusive. There's some folks that we've lost who are maybe just over the line in Chester, and we count them as part of our neighbors as well. So a little bit of silence now, and if anyone would, you can stand and say the names of those that we have lost. Robin Whiting. John Adler. Mary Williams.
Beverly Plum, unless I'm getting chronologically mixed up.
Beverly Plum. Bruce Orchid. Any others? Jack Snyder. Any others? Thank you. We remember them, we remember their neighborliness, and we hold them in our hearts. At this time, if it's okay with the body, I'd like to ask Regina Downer to stand and briefly reintroduce her organization, which is called My Community Nurse. Project, excuse me.
I'd like to come to show my face so that if you ever need to call me, no one's really afraid, or maybe I am intimidating, I don't know. But My Community Nurse Project is a private, it's a nonprofit organization, and anyone who is in my caseload doesn't pay for services. I work full-time, mostly 7 days a week, and I have a part-time nurse who we just increased her hours to 20 hours a week this year, and I'm grateful for the $500 that we give, which covers about 3 weeks of mileage for us, because we do cover 7 towns. Some people are seen weekly, some people are seen twice a month, and some people I can see once a month. But in the town of Andover, I cover 6 cases currently, and soon to be 7. And I just want to explain to you the difference between the VNA, the Visiting Nurses Association, or BEATA, and what I do. So visiting nurses come to your home when you have had a surgical procedure and you are considered skilled nursing care, which might mean that you have oxygen, or that you have a catheter, or that you have other kinds of equipment that needs monitoring. What I do is very different. I try to coordinate care for people, and I'd like to give you one quick example. There was a person in your town who had a critical fall over this past winter, and he was 85, and he was transferred out of Springfield to Dartmouth. And he punctured a lung, fractured several discs in his back, had a serious head injury, and was unconscious for several minutes in his home before the rescue squad got there. He called me on the second day of admission to Dartmouth. He was airlifted to Dartmouth, and I have permission, by the way, to tell you this. And he said, please help me. They are telling me, and he was actually crying. He said, they're telling me I'm really pretty good now, and they're going to send me home. And I said, we got to get you to stay that third critical night. You have to stay that extra night so we can get you into rehab. He said, oh no, they're saying I'm good to go, and there's no rehab for me. And so I called the care coordinator, and I said, is this possible that he could have a head injury, a punctured lung, 3 discs in his back? I'm not understanding that. Can you explain that? And she said, we are really under the gun for looking at how many people go to rehab. And so we just can't do it. And I said, then this is not a threat, but I just have to tell you that we're going to call the Medicare Watchdog Agency, and we're going to report this. We're going to make sure that my client gets rehab. And she said, is that a threat? And I said, no, it's just what we do. It's what we do. And so with that, she had half an hour to come back to the phone, call me back and said, we're keeping him an extra night. And from there, he went to Grace Cottage and he had 15 days of rehab. And I'm happy to report that he's doing really well. That's not something that VNA can do, but it is definitely something that we can do. And so I just leave you with that thought, and I am happy to care for any of the people in your town. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Regina. I will entertain one question from the back. Jill Pond.
That's a great question. My community nurse project is listed, but I will give you the phone number. You can call 802-772-5607. It's on the website. And then usually I just give people my cell phone number and they call me home. And I must say, people are very respectful on weekends. But I do work on weekends. Thank you.
Thank you, Regina, for the work you do, and thank you for the question. I will now call this meeting to order. And the first order of business is actually some housekeeping business. And again, can you hear me in the back, and could you hear everything that Regina said? Okay, make sure that everyone can hear. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to remind the body gathered here tonight that we do follow Robert's Rules of Order because it's the precedent that's been laid down by the Constitution in Vermont. And it seems to work really well when you follow the guidelines. And one of the guidelines that we're going to reinstitute with a little more discipline tonight is correct form of meeting address. And you'll understand what that means in just a moment. And to help illustrate this, I'm asking two of our longtime neighbors and citizens to engage in a little community theater with me, if that's okay. Joe. The chair recognizes Joe Fromberger.
In our discussion, could we discuss the replacement of equipment account, please?
Absolutely. Does anyone have any clarification for that? The chair recognizes Mr. Gordon.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, Jeff.
Could you have Mr. Fromberger clarify what he's exactly saying?
Absolutely. Mr. Fromberg, would you clarify the question that was asked by your neighbor, Mr. Gordon?
Mr. Moderator, I have a question about the adequacy of the replacement fund.
Thank you, and we don't need to see any more of this play. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Joe. I'm going to ask Joe to be our parliamentarian once again, as I always do. As I always say, Joe has forgotten more about parliamentary procedure than I'll ever know. But that little illustration was just to show that we do intend to do three things when we meet as a town meeting. We intend to make sure all the votes are counted, that the voices of both the majority and the minority are heard and respected, and that we do so respectfully. And the third thing I'll say before we get on with the orders of business tonight is that I will hold folks to time tonight. We have a lot to get through. We want to make sure that we do so in a good and efficient manner while hearing all the voices and questions and comments that need to be made. So I hope this is helpful, and we will go on with the meeting here. So you are legally warned to meet on this day in the town of Andover to act on the following articles. Article number 1, to elect a town moderator for a term of 1 year ending on June 30th, 2027. Does everyone have a copy of the town report or a copy of the warning? If you wish to have one, do we have any additional ones for anybody? Okay. So Article 1, to elect a moderator. I, Jonathan Bliss, am the current moderator. Correct form of address, please. Yes, Scott. Scott Kendall has nominated John Bliss. Is there a second? Yes, Stephanie. Stephanie has offered a second. Further discussion?
Mr. Moderator, if
Joe.
I may,
Yes.
nominations do not require a second.
Thank you for that clarification.
Under Robert's rules.
You are correct. There are other nominations. Jonathan Bliss has been nominated. Other nominations?
Mr. Moderator,
Joe.
if there are no other nominations, I move that nominations be closed and that the clerk cast one ballot for John Bliss as moderator.
Did everyone hear Joe's motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion carries. And I will say I am honored to be nominated again and endeavor to help this meeting do its best work. So thank you. Item number 2, to elect all town officers required by law. And I'll just read quickly through them. You have them in your warning, but the officers are town clerk for a 3-year term, town treasurer for a 3-year term, and then 3 select board positions, a 3-year term, and 2 1-year terms, auditor for a 3-year term, first constable for a 1-year term, collector of delinquent taxes for a 1-year term, cemetery commissioner for a 3-year term, cemetery commissioner for 2 years remaining of a 3-year term, sexton for a 1-year term. So we will begin with the nominations for town clerk. Jeanette Hazeltine currently serving in that position. Are there nominations from the floor? Correct form of address, please.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I nominate Jeanette Hazeltine.
Scott Kendall has nominated Jeanette Hazeltine. As we were just reminded by Joe, we do not need a second. Are there other nominations?
Mr. Moderator,
Joe.
if there are no other nominations, I move that nominations be closed and that the clerk cast one ballot for town clerk.
Did everyone hear the motion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries. Second position, town treasurer for a 3-year term. Jeanette Hazelton currently serving in that position. Are there nominations from the floor?
Mr. Moderator,
Joe.
I would nominate Jeanette Hazeltine as treasurer.
Are there other nominations?
Excuse me.
Are there other nominations? All those in favor of Jeanette Hazelton for treasurer signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. And we have 3 select board positions, so I'll introduce them. You probably know, but in the position for a 3-year term is Melissa. She's raising her hand right there. The second position is for a 1-year term, and that is Susan. She'll raise her hand. And the third position is for also a 1-year term, and that is Chris. So the nominations are open.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Jeanette.
I nominate Melissa Gates Perry for a select board member for a 3-year term.
Jeanette Hazelton has nominated Melissa Gates Perry for a select board position for a 3-year term. Are there other nominations?
Mr. Moderator.
Joe.
If there are no other nominations, I would move that nominations be closed and that Jeanette, that Melissa be elected to a 3-year term on the select board.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We come to the second position. This is Susan Leader's position for a 1-year term. Yes.
I nominate Susan Leader for that position.
Susan has been nominated. Are there other nominations?
If not, if there, Mr. Moderator.
Yes, Joe.
If there are no other nominations, I would move that nomination be closed and that the Susan be elected for a one-year term on the select board.
There being no other nominations, all those in favor of Susan Leader for a one-year position on the select board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Third select board position for Chris Walker. This is a one-year term. The nominations are open.
Mr. Moderator,
Was that Scott?
it is.
Yes, Scott.
I nominate Chris Walker.
Scott has nominated Chris Walker. Are there other nominations?
Mr. Moderator.
Joe?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes,
Can I
Manny.
ask that we open the floor for discussion?
Joe, is that something we can do at this time without a vote?
You can discuss a nomination before you act on it.
Okay. Sounds like that's within our procedures. So, floor is open for discussion. Let's continue with proper procedures of address.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Maddie.
I have some things I'd like to say about Mr. Walker's nomination. I'm going to stand up because I'm short and otherwise I'm not going to explain his head. I want you to know that this is very hard for me to do. I was on the Andover Select Board for 4 years and overlapped with Chris Walker for 2 years. I don't feel that he is a safe choice as a select board member, to the point where I feel compelled to stand up when there's no other nominations and say, I don't think we should vote for this person for our select board. A bunch of things happened when Chris Walker was on the select board. He was responsible for some of it. I sat next to him when he lied to voters. I sat next to him when he broke the law. I sat next to him when he used his position to get revenge on people he didn't like. And I sat next to him when he used very bad judgment that costs us, I believe, money to this day. Now, these charges are, I know they sound extreme, and I don't want to say that Chris is a horrible person. I don't think he's a horrible person. I'm sure he's an excellent friend. I'm sure he's fun at parties. I just don't think he's a person we want on our select board. If you want, I feel like I should give some more details about lying, breaking the law, and all the other things. Breaking the law, let's start with that.
Well, I'm going to hold you to time. No, another minute, please.
I'm trying to make this as fast as
Yep.
I can. Again, it's 2 years. There's something called the open meeting law that all meetings, all elected officials are held to. You need to put items on the agenda. Everyone has the right to know, like when their stuff is going to be discussed, like if the select board's going to throw down the road, you have a right to know. Chris brought stuff when he was new. He brought stuff up. I told him at first very politely, hey, you can't do that, you need to put it on the agenda. He kept doing it for a whole year. I finally put on the agenda, we're going to discuss why you have to put stuff on the agenda. And he wasn't at that meeting, but there was a very detailed explanation in the minutes about why you can't do that. And he continued to do that for most of the next year of the select board.
10 seconds.
I want to say that he showed contempt for the law when he was told that the budget, like the tax rate needed to be set so it covered the tax rate. And I said that to him. He said, prove it.
Okay, thank you. That is time.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Rich.
I would like to speak as well.
to this topic.
Thank you.
So I'm Rich Pierce. I'm new to the Select Board, and we've had an excellent year and have worked as a team very well with a lot of difficult topics and decisions to make for the benefit of the town of Andover. And Chris has been very valuable. He has been very engaged. He has cooperated to find solutions. He has come up with good ideas for discussion that were then implemented. And so currently, I don't know, because I'm new, about what has happened in the past. But over the past year, Chris has been a good teammate to work with. And he has a lot of knowledge that is valuable to the board. And so I support his nomination.
I have a question for the meeting. Could everyone hear everything that both Maddie and Rich said? In the back? Okay, great. Other comments from the body, and then Robin on the board. Anyone wish to be recognized from the floor? Yes, Robin.
I would also like to support Chris's nomination. I have seen nothing of
Robin.
what we've just, oh, I'm sorry.
Correct form of address.
Mr. Moderator. I would also like to support Chris's nomination. We've seen nothing of what we've just heard. I find him invaluable. I think he's done a great job. I think he works really well with our team, and I am really glad to see that he did want to run again. I'm thankful that he did. So I wholeheartedly support him.
Could everyone hear Robin in the back? Okay. So I'm going to keep asking because a lot of people talking, and we want to make sure that everything is audible. Any other person wishing to be recognized from the floor? So we have a nomination on the floor. Are there other nominations?
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir.
No further discussion and no further nominations. I move that we vote for Chris.
Thank you. We don't need a second, I believe, but thank you. Any other further nominations? There being none, all those in favor of Chris Walker for the Select Board for a one-year position, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Thank you. I believe the ayes have it. And by the way, thank you for following correct form of address. I think it's really helpful, and I think we just saw one of the reasons why it's helpful. So my appreciation to all of you. The position of auditor for a 3-year term, and I must admit my ignorance. The current auditor is here present. Bill Hespy, yeah, Jessup. Hespy, excuse me. Does Bill wish to be nominated again? Okay, I'm sorry, we're not gauging incorrect address here.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And so I would like to nominate Bill Hespy for a second 3-year term as auditor.
Okay. Wendell has nominated Bill Hespy for a second term as moderator. Are there other nominations?
Mr. Moderator.
Joe.
If there are no other nominations for auditor, I would move that nominations be closed and that Mr. Hespy be elected to a 3-year term as auditor.
All those in favor of electing Mr. Hespy to another 3-year term as auditor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Position of first constable for a 1-year term, and I believe Lucas is still in that position. Does he wish to continue? He does. So we are looking for nominations from the floor. Yes.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to nominate Lucas Trask.
Lucas Trask has been nominated by his father. No nepotism going on here. Are there other nominations? Joe.
Unless there are other nominations, I would move that nominations be closed and remind me of your name.
Lucas Trask.
Lucas Trapp be elected as first constable for 1 year term.
All those in favor of Lucas Trask for a position of first constable for a 1 year term signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you, Lucas, once again for your service. A collector of delinquent taxes for a 1 year term. And in that position currently, Jeanette Hazelton, who I believe wishes to be renominated. Do we have nominations from the floor? Yes, Robin.
Nominate Jeanette.
Jeanette has been renominated by Robin. Are there other nominations from the floor?
Mr. Moderator.
Joe.
If there are no other nominations for delinquent tax collector, I would move that nominations be closed and that Jeanette be elected as collector of delinquent taxes for 1 year term.
All those in favor of Jeanette Hazelton for position of collector of delinquent taxes signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Two more offices. The position of cemetery commissioner for 2 years remaining of a 3 year term. And if I'm not mistaken, Hank Mowdy is our current commissioner. Is that correct? And Hank, do you wish to be renominated?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have anyone who would like to nominate Hank?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes.
Hank is the sexton. The
Oh.
position that you're speaking for is a vacant position.
Thank you. Thanks for that clarification. You are entirely correct. Sorry, Hank. You're coming up here. Cemetery commissioner for 2 years remaining of a 3 year term. Do we have nominations?
Speak up. I'm working on a couple. Yeah.
Correct form of address, though, sir.
Not me.
Correct form of address.
Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Hank.
Neighbor.
Neighbor.
Yeah.
Do you have a nomination?
Yeah, myself.
Okay. For cemetery commissioner?
Yes.
Can he nominate himself, Joe?
Yes, you can.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes. Jeanette.
Mr. Motti is a currently serving cemetery commissioner who is not up for re-election.
Oh.
The 2 year remaining of the 3 year term is a currently vacant position.
Aha.
So we would be looking for someone other than Mr. Motti to fill that position.
Thank you. And I believe you did explain that to me earlier, and I missed that detail. Sorry, Hank. So we're looking for a sidekick for Hank. Do we have? Sorry, but that's. Do we have nominations for? Yes, Scott.
Mr. Moderator, I nominate Jed.
Jed has been nominated by Scott. Does Jed accept that nomination?
Yes.
Are there other nominations? Joe?
I'm at a loss for names. I'm sorry.
Mr. Moderator.
Yeah, Jeanette.
If there are no further nominations, I move that nominations be closed and the clerk cast one ballot for Jed Petraska as a cemetery commissioner for 2 years remaining of a 3 year term.
And do we need to affirm? Do we need to affirm that with a vote from the body, Joe?
That's correct.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you all for your patience as we stumbled through that. And now, position of sexton for a 1 year term, and I believe I am correct in stating that that is in fact Hank Mowdy, who wishes to be nominated again. Are there other nominations?
I thought he was the current commissioner.
He's also the sexton? Yes?
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sexton. Oh, my God, really busy man.
Other nominations?
No nominations,
Yes.
just clarification. There
Yes.
is one other commissioner that's up for re-election this year.
And who would that be?
That'd be me.
And would you like to be renominated?
I don't want to mess up your schedule, but by the agenda, we were doing that before we were doing sexton.
Okay.
So I just wanted to keep things in my brain. That's very simple.
You are very correct. I skipped over one. So,
It's a very confusing.
well,
commission.
it's not that confusing. I'm easily confused, it turns out. All this focus on correct form of address, and I'm losing my place. So we just affirmed commissioner for a 3-year term. No. We skipped. We need to go back. Okay, that's the point you're making. Thank you very much. Sorry, my apologies to the body. So back to the first cemetery-related item, cemetery commissioner for a 3-year term. Are there nominations?
Who's the current one?
Nick is the current.
But mine is a 3-year.
Oh, Mr. Baker. If there are no other nominations, Mr. Moderator,
Joe, yes?
I would move that the nominations be closed and that Mr. Baker be elected as a cemetery commissioner for a 3-year term.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you once again all for your patience. I think now, Jeanette, correct me, we are on to sextant now. Yes?
You are correct.
Yes, okay. Thank you. So finally we get to you, Hank. Are there other nominations? Hank wishes to run again. Are there other nominations from the floor?
Mr. Moderator,
Joe?
if there are no other nominations for cemetery commissioner for the...
Sextant.
We're working on the second?
Yeah.
My confusion, too. Mr. Moderator, if there are no other nominations for sexton for the 1-year term, I would move that nominations be closed and that Hank Motti be elected sexton for 1 year.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Thank you once again for your patience, and I think we should all, as voters and taxpayers, one and all, thank all who are serving in our town government from top to bottom. Finally, after that somewhat torturous process, we get to item number 3, article number 3. Shall the voters authorize the town treasurer, pursuant to the statute written in your bulletin, to collect current year taxes? I believe we often have an explanation before that vote. Am I right about that? No? Okay. It's an up or down vote. Okay. Joe?
I would move that we adopt Article 3 to authorize the town treasurer to collect current taxes.
Is there any discussion or clarification needed? All those in favor of adopting the article signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The article carries. Item number 4, explanation of fiscal year 2026-27 budget. I believe this is the Jeanette show.
Can everybody hear me okay if I speak up? Yeah. So on page 21 of your town report, you have a summary of information that covers last fiscal year's budget, this fiscal year's budget, and next fiscal year's budget. So we are currently in fiscal year 25-26. So we are looking at, on page 21, again, last year's results. So you'll see our total income was $1.2 million. That was in excess of the budget. We had budgeted for $1.1 million. Our total expenses were $1.2 million also, and our original budget was for $1.1 million. We had a large surplus of $551.64, so the select board has recommended adding that, keeping that in the general fund, and so it is, you'll see it in the column marked fiscal year 26-27. You'll see that as an income line, so it just gets worked back into the income in next year's budget if you all approve that. What else? This year's budget, the select board, after many weeks of careful searching through all the numbers, have set a budget of $1.3 million. And of that, $1.1 million would be from municipal taxes, which is a 7% increase over this current fiscal year of the municipal taxes. And as you can imagine, those extra expenses have to do with the cost of heating fuel, the cost of salt and sand, and the cost of health insurance for the town employees. Those are the biggest factors that worked into that.
If
are there any
the
questions? And there are, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
In the budget on pages 17 through 20, you'll see line by line all the various expenses and what they've been budgeted for, as well as last year's results and where we were over and under. And certainly if there are any line items that jump out at you that you have questions about, the select board can give you more information.
questions from the floor, and again, let's keep the good form of address going. Yes, Mark. Yes. To me, and Jeanette will hear. Yes. I'm told she's listening.
I was just wondering, with the shortage of salt nationwide, and therefore the unpredictability of its price, likely price increase, have the projected expenses taken that into account in the numbers that we see before?
Did everyone in the room hear Mark's question related to salt and projected costs? Jeanette, do you have an answer, or is there someone on the board that has an answer? Yes.
Mr. Moderator,
yes, Richard.
I'd be willing to share what I know. So as you brought up, the cost of salt has nearly doubled and is oftentimes unavailable. And so there are situations where even at the elevated cost, we cannot currently get salt delivered here. So it's gone from, for example, $98 a ton to over $170 a ton. So we are pursuing all avenues. We're constantly searching for salt through direct channels that are known to everyone and through personal channels just by connections that people have. And we intend to purchase salt as soon as it's available at a cost that the town can afford. And we're entertaining the idea of creating greater storage capacity for salt so that we could potentially buy it in advance and not during the season. That's currently where we are as a board, and it's a process that we're continuing to work on.
Mark, I believe your question had to do with projections. So did Rich's answer address your question?
No, it was very informative and appreciated. I'm just wondering if the numbers in the expense are taking some theoretical numbers into consideration when it's an unknowable. That's really what the question is, although I appreciate the forward thinking in terms of storage.
While Richard is looking for that, I just want to say I think I can ask everyone to join me in expressing some appreciation for our amazing road crew in Andover, which in a tough year I think they won their Spurs this year. Yeah, Rich, sorry to cut you off.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes, Rich.
looking at the budget, we have budgeted $60,000 for 26-27, which is the same as the previous year. And we are working, I guess, in a hopeful mode that this is a spike and not a plateau.
Other questions?
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Susan.
My fellow select board members will have to correct me if I remember incorrectly, but I think during one of the conversations I received when Charlie was sharing the situation with us, I think he basically indicated we haven't really, since we're using less salt, that maybe we've used less salt this year than maybe last year. Can you, oh, sorry.
Mr. Moderator?
Yes, Rob.
We have used less salt, so we have excess funds for this year, if that's what you're asking. Even though we did have to pay more for the last truckload of salt that we got, we still haven't exhausted our salt funds, if that makes sense. But I'm not, Mr. Moderator,
No.
I'm not quite sure exactly what it is that Mark is asking, what the question is that he's asking. Is he asking how we come up with the idea of those funds and the number, or is he asking whether or not we've exhausted those funds, or?
Did you hear the question to your question, Mark? Okay.
Nothing understood is something that I practice every day. No, I think Rich answered the question when he stated that the salt allotment in the budget is the same as it was last year, in the hopes, somewhat optimistic, that the prices would not be spiking quite as much. So the question has been answered. Thank you.
Are there other questions from the floor for the item? Yes. No, it's 4. Yeah. On the explanation of the budget, are there other questions on other matters related to the budget? We would then entertain a motion. I guess I need to read the question here. Right. Right. Any further questions? Item number 5, shall the voters authorize total fund expenditures for operating expenses of the amount indicated in your bulletin, and to raise that amount and pay that amount by non-tax revenues. I'm not going to read that to you, but you have it in your paperwork here. Do we need an explanation of that motion? Anyone?
Mr. Moderator,
Joe.
I would move that we adopt Article 5 as written.
Joe has moved that we adopt Article 5 as written. Is there discussion? Further questions?
It does need a second.
Joe has reminded us that we require a second. Is there a second from the body?
Moderator?
Yes,
I second
Peter.
the motion.
Peter Heiler has seconded. All those in favor of the article signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion carries. Item number 6. Shall the voters authorize payment of real and personal property taxes in 3 installments, with the due dates being August 15th, November 1st, and March 1st, by delivery to the town office postmarked on or before that date? Do we need any explanation of the item?
Mr. Moderator,
Joe.
I would move that we adopt Article 6 as printed and approve the property installments on the 3 times specified in the article.
Joe has moved that we adopt the article as written. This is Article 6. Do we have a second from the floor? Yes, Peter. Peter has seconded. All those in favor of adopting the article as written signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The article passes. Article number 7, shall the town change the day of its annual town meeting to one of the 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, preceding the first Tuesday in March 2027, pursuant to the relevant statutes. And Jeanette has reminded us that this is a very simple up or down vote, which will then govern item number 8. Yes, Nick.
Point of detail. I believe it needs to say the first Tuesday following the first Monday. If the month starts on a Tuesday, the town, everything moves the next week. And I don't know if that makes a matter to the legalese of what we're doing, but town meeting is the first Tuesday following the first Monday by Vermont law. I do believe. And again, maybe that's neither here nor there in a small setting.
Okay. Jeanette, did you hear Nick's question? And
I did.
okay. Nick, would you mind repeating that? Just so we get the legal question.
No, you did hear me, right, Jeanette?
Oh, she did. Got it. Okay. Sorry.
Anyways,
So any response necessary? Okay.
I don't care.
Okay.
I just think everybody needs to understand that if it starts on a Tuesday, you're not having town meeting.
So basically, what the article is asking is, do we continue the age-old Vermont tradition of holding the town meeting on the day that Nick has suggested, or do we change it such as we have done in this case?
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I move that we change the date to one of the previously listed, other than that Tuesday.
Okay. So Nick has moved that we change the date that we, and we need a second for that motion. And Scott has seconded.
Discussion?
Yeah, absolutely open to discussion. Yeah.
Mr. Moderator.
I'm gonna hold you to time though again.
Oh, it's very short.
Yeah.
It's a procedure. I mean, personally, I prefer Saturday. That's what I would vote for. But I don't see how I can vote in the order that you're asking, how these things are separated. Because if we vote no to this, then what if it changes to a day that I don't prefer? Maybe, you see what I'm saying? The logic of the sequence is very difficult for us to, this happened last year too when we came to this situation.
Yes, it did.
So I don't have a remedy except that it's a problem.
Yeah. I will say, and then I'll recognize Chris, I will say that I know there was a lot of discussion on the part of the board because no date is going to work for everybody. That's what we're really up against. And I acknowledge that there is a kind of a wonky logic to how we're doing this. But it comes from the fact that I think the board is trying to find the date that works for the most number of voters. I think the turnout tonight is more than decent. I think you would agree. So clearly this was not the wrong choice. I think that would be one observation.
Mr. Moderator.
Yes, Chris.
The reason that they're in the order they're in first, it's pretty much saying, if you say no, we're having it on Tuesday, voting. The town meeting day would be the traditional. If we vote no not to move the date, it would be on town meeting day of Vermont, which is typically Tuesday. So we're voting whether to move it to another date or not. The next article would be picking the date.
Right.
Other questions? Yes, Hank. Yes, sir.
Discussion. Quite a few years when we decided not to use the Saturday anymore, that we used something years. And this happened, we moved it to a Monday, and then we had a blizzard a few years ago. So you had to postpone it. So now you have to give the people the information to cast their vote on the same day. So if you have it the Saturday ahead of time, you have 2 days to work around a blizzard. So that gives you time to bail yourself out, in other words. You don't paint yourself in a corner by limiting it. No time, no escape, no blizzard. So that's a legal argument the other way, to have it on Saturday like we used to.
Did you all hear Hank's comments in the back? And I think that was, Hank, that was part of the discussion that happened on the part of the board.
Yeah,
was
moving the date.
Exactly, yeah. Other comments, ideas, clarifications from the voters?
For clarification, Mr. Moderator, is there a motion on the floor, and what is it?
The motion, I believe, and correct me, Nick, is it was made by Nick and seconded by Scott to change. So in other words, yes on Article 7 was the motion made by Nick. It was seconded by Scott. Are you calling the question, sir?
I think I am. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor of changing the date as it's stated in Article 7 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose, nay.
No.
I think the article carries. So on to Article 8. If Article 7 is approved, which it just was, what day, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday, shall the voters approve changing town meeting to? Yes, sir.
Mr. Moderator, I move the town meeting should occur on Monday, March 1, 2027 at 5 p.m.
Remind me of your name, sir. I'm sorry. Fred Probst has, and state it again because I was trying to remember your name. Sorry.
I move that we have the town meeting 1 year from today, on Monday, March 1st at 5 p.m.
Monday, March 1st, 5 p.m. Do we have a second? She got your name. Okay. Other discussion or questions? Yes, Lenore.
So what's the plan when we have 3 days? Do we vote up or down on one and then up or down on the next?
That's a great question for our parliamentarian. What do we do, Joe?
We punt.
Okay. I think, and bear with me, friends, but I think we vote up or down on Fred's motion. And if it succeeds, then democracy is spoken. If not, it doesn't. Yes, Patty.
Can you be a second for Fred's motion?
He was seconded, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As a comment, Mr. Moderator, I think whatever day we choose or time we choose, I think it is important for us to be here, no matter what the time or the day it is. So I really have no preference, but I would, in hindsight, sometimes we leave ourselves too little time to make adjustments for things that happen. So my preference would be to have it at least 2 or 3 days before the annual Tuesday meeting.
We have a motion on the floor made by Fred, seconded. Yes, Richard.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I would like to briefly question whether we need a clarification. We heard earlier that the town meeting is normally on the first Tuesday after the first Monday of the month. Okay. I don't know if that impacts whether our meeting would necessarily be on that first Monday. I think it does, because we must have the meeting by the due date. Okay, but if the due date is actually 7 days later than we think it is. Okay, in other words, someone's thinking it's March 2nd is that Tuesday. Or March 1st is that first Tuesday, am I right?
Monday.
Right, but I'm talking about the Vermont
That would be the next
designated
day.
Tuesday.
It would be the next day.
First Tuesday of the month.
It would be the next day.
After
It'll be the next day.
is when the state requires us to meet.
Okay.
What we have traditionally done is to designate a day before the actual vote takes place to take care of town meeting business and other matters that are not subject to the Tuesday activity.
Joe, address.
I'm sorry. My sincere apologies.
Did everyone hear Joe's clarification? Do we need further discussion or clarification? Nick, you were the one who brought up the original good point. Do you need any clarification?
No, because March starts on a Monday.
Okay.
So every Tuesday after that is the
Okay.
first Tuesday.
Okay.
So nothing.
Yes, Lenore.
It sounds like, Mr. Moderator, that this would be the moment for me to, even though Saturday isn't it for vote, it would, if I can persuade you to Saturday, then you'd vote down this one. How's that? So, in discussing Monday, I'm gonna say I don't prefer Monday,
Okay.
because I think it disadvantages people who are working, and I think that, I mean, a lot of us are gray-haired retirees, but it's still. And I also remember a community feeling that I missed when we did Saturday morning and we had lunch together. Now, if you want to do it on a Monday and have supper together, I'm good with that. But I don't think you do. I mean, I do, for fun, but that would be my reason for going back to Saturday. And I think that Joe's, reasons are equally valid. The earlier we do it, the more snow we can afford.
Even though we're getting a little out over our skis, I think it was good that you bring that up because it gives people an idea of what we're voting for.
Yeah, this is why I'm voting against this.
So I need to remind us that Fred has made a motion, so we need to vote yea or nay on that, and then circle back to where that leaves us. So, does everyone need clarification? Yes, Hank.
For historical background, in the year 2001, the first day of March, we had a 30-inch snowstorm. And during the month, we had a couple small ones. And on the last day of March, we had another 30-inch snowstorm. Charlie Lamson, God rest his soul, used to measure the water. In the month of March that year, 2001, that 75 inches of snow landed in the town of Andover. So anything is possible.
Good to be reminded. There's a motion on the floor. It's been seconded.
Clarify what the motion is, Madam, Mr. Chairman?
Yes. Yeah. So it is my belief that Fred Probst has made a motion to and actually, Fred, why don't you restate it yet a third time? I'm sorry.
That the Andover Town Meeting will occur on Monday, March 1st, 2027 at 5 p.m. at this location.
And we have had a second.
Yes.
Yes, Susan.
Moderator, I don't think we're voting, it doesn't say we're voting on the time.
It doesn't.
Okay, you're allowed to do that. So strike the time, but the day on the date stands. And is it understood that we will vote yea or nay on this? And depending on the outcome, there might or might not be a further motion. Yes? Okay. All those in favor of Fred's motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. It is my judgment that the ayes have it. Are you comfortable with that? Okay. Thank you for that rather torturous discussion. Once again. So we are coming to the close of our time together, but we are in actually one of the most important elements or segments of the meeting, which is the time for other business and open discussion. And just to remind you once again, we will be following correct address, and I will be keeping you to time. And that includes, as it happens, our guest, who we are welcoming, our representative, Chris Morrow, to speak with us briefly and take your questions. Again, I will hold Chris to time, and I will hold questions to time, and then we'll open the floor for other non-binding business that we can do at this time. So, Chris, welcome. You have the floor briefly.
Thank you, everyone. Chris Morrow, State Rep from Andover, Weston, Londonderry, and Wynn Hall. It's been a busy couple of months up in Montpelier. You've probably heard about the main things going on. I'll just list a few of the main things, and then maybe we can get into the education a little more, because I see this this potential article is on the docket for discussion. So just for context, what's been happening at the federal government has trickled down to Vermont in a big way, in various ways. Them clawing back a lot of federal money that we had been counting on. Some of it's in the courts, some of it just disappeared. Some of it's, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's people in state government that have been working very hard trying to secure funds, and then it just goes away. So what's going on in Washington is directly affecting state finances and functioning in a big way. So that's just to set the context. Education, I'm going to leave that one. Healthcare, we're still, healthcare in my opinion is really probably the biggest crisis in Vermont. Education gets the press, and we'll talk about that, but the healthcare system in Vermont is very fragile, especially the hospital system. The good news on this front is that as we did get $195 million from the federal government, and it's supposed to be the same for 5 years, and this money is, it's very restricted on how we can spend it, but it's what we can spend it on is good things, mostly focusing on primary care, telehealth, building the healthcare workforce. And so while it won't really help our hospitals directly, it will definitely help Vermont, especially rural Vermont, in bolstering our healthcare system. So there's good news there. An act that happened before I got in there in 2024 was Act 181. This was the Act 250 reform bill. A lot of us have had interactions with the Act 250 process over the years. If we run a business or try to do any kind of development, there's a lot of historical tensions there. On the one hand, it's really saved a lot of Vermont to be pristine and scenic. On the other hand, it's restricted development, sometimes in overly restrictive ways. So Act 181 was supposed to come to a new balance on this. What they decided to do was to map the whole state into 3 tiers. Tier 1 being in towns where they want development, and that wouldn't be subject to Act 250 anymore, no matter what. Tier 3 would be rural, and how they're defining rural is still up in the air. The mapping is being done right now. That's why I'm bringing it up, because it's happening right now. And Tier 2 would be everything that's not Tier 1 or Tier 3. So every single parcel in the whole state, that means all of our land, is being mapped right now. And there's some, I'm part of a group that's trying to slow it down because there's some very legitimate questions about how we can use our land, especially if you're designated in Tier 3. There's something called the road rule, where if you were building a road more than 800 meters you would automatically get put into Act 250, and there's some other things as well. So if you're at all interested in this or concerned about what this would do to your land, now is the time to find out more about it and to get involved. I would recommend going to the Wyndham Regional Commission's website. They are in fact having, they just recently put out a fact sheet about it, and they're having a public forum on this on Tuesday the 17th at 6 p.m. You can probably Zoom right in. But this has potential to impact all of our land and future development in Vermont. So I just want you to be aware of that. There is a bill right now that I co-sponsored to slow the process down, especially on Tier 3 lands, so that we can take more time to get public input and resolve some of the tensions that have already come up. There's a lot of people pretty upset about it. So where that is now, that's in the Senate right now, and assuming that passes, which I think it will, it'll come over to the House, and we'll see what happens in the House. The way the House works is we're all in different committees, and the chairperson of each committee really has total control over whether a bill that's come to the committee is going to be heard or not. And the person who's in charge of the Environment Committee is kind of restrictive on what she allows to be heard. And she was the architect of this originally. So whether we can get it to slow down or not is still an open question. The state budget, we are in a very, very tight fiscal environment after 4 or 5 years of having a lot of federal money due to COVID. And the infrastructure bill, there was a lot of spending going on up there. Now the money's gone, and it's tight, and people are adjusting. But a lot of people that got used to, not people, but organizations, and that got used to asking the state for money are getting turned away, rightly so, and the state is having to trim positions as well, especially in the Agency of Transportation. The reasons, we're facing the same pressure as a state that you guys are as a town, and we all are in our businesses. Healthcare costs have gone up a lot. Construction costs have gone up a lot. Salt was mentioned earlier. We buy a lot of salt as a state. All those kinds of things have gone up, up, up. And so we're feeling the pressure as a state. If you want detailed accounts of what's going on in all these committees, I just put up a town meeting report. It's 3 pages, but it goes committee by committee. You can just pick the things that you're interested in. I put it in Front Porch Forum and on my email list, and it's on my website right on the front page. You can just download the PDF. My website is morrow4vt.com, so you can get some details there. If you guys have questions, please, at any time, let me know. Do you want to recognize people?
Yeah, address, Hank.
Mr. Representative, Hank, how much money was removed from the transportation fund and put in the general fund in the state?
The budget is still being worked on. So, and a big chunk of that is to, well, I should say there's a proposal right now to take the money that's allocated for the Ed Fund and put it back to the Transportation Fund. What we're talking about here is that historically, when the Transportation Fund was flush, they decided to designate some of those monies from the gas tax to the Education Fund. But now the Transportation Fund is short by about $35 million. And so one of the proposals on the table, which Mr. Mowdy is referring to, is to take some of that education, the money that was allocated to the Education Fund, and put it back to where it should be, which is in the Transportation Fund. I think that will pass.
Well, it was some ton of money, because back when Dan was a governor, we went to a meeting in Rutland, and it was $40 million was taken out of the transportation fund. Your tax, if you're fixing your roads, was put in the general fund. 40 million.
Right. Yeah, I think it went up to 50 million.
Yeah, I know, it's probably twice that now.
Yep, yep.
So then people wonder why they go down the road, and they can't go down the road because it's so bumpy.
Well, while we're, you know, the transportation fund is stressed, and the Agency of Transportation just laid off a bunch of people. So that is a concern for all of us in terms of our road maintenance and our paving schedule. So you'll be, and I say the budget's still being worked out, so we'll see where that ends up. But that is a big concern in Montpelier, how that's going to shake out. Education is the big one. And I'd like to hear from you about it, because if you guys read this is our problem here. Like, there are so many conflicting constraints just in this one paragraph, and this is what we're up against. So whoever wrote this wanted convenient and equitable education, along with lower taxes, and something that didn't disproportionately hurt small farms, small towns. Here's the deal. We can't have lower taxes and education the way we've been doing it with small schools all over the state. People are validly concerned, and I'm one of them, about having small schools in our towns, because it's not just about the schools. Not just about education. The schools are the center of our communities, and there's all kinds of other benefits to having a school in your community. On the other hand, we have 73,000 students in our system now that was built for 120,000 students. It's not sustainable on any level. It's just not financially, and we haven't even started dealing with some of the big issues around school construction, special education, and some of the big cost drivers. And so this is there's no easy answers here. So if people have input for me to bring back to Montpelier, I'm welcome. Is this the right forum for that?
This is fine, and I'll just say, since you mentioned this invitation, Chris, this is basically an invitation to folks to engage in a conversation about how we think about funding locally for schools. And it was brought to my attention by Scott Kendall. I think it's a really worthy effort. Scott handed these out, so did everybody get one of these pieces of paper? And what I suggested to Scott was that, and I'll pass it back to you, Chris, but approach him after the meeting, that is Scott, and if there's interest in a public forum here to discuss this issue and others like it related to education, Scott would like you to sign up, and we'll try to get some people here from across the spectrum and so on to talk about these issues. Yeah, Scott, you just want to give a brief clarification?
Thing. This little piece of paper that I handed out, this is two articles that are on the Wyndham, the Town of Wyndham Town Meeting. They are voting on those.
So maybe just to recap of where we're at. Last session, we passed something called Act 73, which is a very comprehensive education reform. And what it would do would create a foundation formula. So instead of all of us as towns and school boards setting the tuition rate and then sending that money up to, or asking that money from the state, what the foundation formula does is the state decides how much money is going to follow each pupil. So the local budgeting would go away. The state would decide, okay, it costs $15,000 to educate a student in Vermont. And you have 100 students, and so that's how much money you get. And then you need to figure it out locally. this is how most states in the country do it. I think 40-something states have a foundation formula. What the next step was we were supposed to we created a task force that were working over the summer that was supposed to come up with some maps for the redistricting. So now we have 119 districts and I don't know how many supervisory unions, and we were supposed to reduce those down to 10 or 15 or 20 and this is part of the cost control, is to bring down all the administrative overhead in the education system, which we don't need. But the task force that was charged with creating these maps said, actually, we don't agree with this, that it's not going to save money, it's going to hurt rural schools. So we recommend voluntary consolidation and using this thing called BOCES, which is shared services model, which is also used in many other states and is used in southeastern Vermont successfully, which is basically you're sharing overhead with a bunch of neighboring districts. So instead of one human resources person per school district, you have one that covers 10. And there's all kinds of shared ways to get economies of scale across multiple districts. And but it was problematic because in the law is written, we need a map. And they didn't produce a map. So right now it is real chaos in the education committees in both the House and the Senate, all kinds of things being thrown around, including draft maps. There's not much agreement on anything. But there's significant pressure from the governor and from leadership and from people across Vermont, like it says in this article, like, we need to do something. And so, honestly, right now, I have no idea where this is going to go. We're going to, hopefully we'll vote something out, but it's either going to be forced consolidation or voluntary consolidation, but it's going to have to be some form of consolidation in there.
The ideas that are being put forth to the Green Mountain District is that students in high school, if we get consolidated, are either going to go to Springfield or Woodstock.
You're talking about high schools?
Correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of bad ideas on the table right now. I'm surprised they mentioned Woodstock, because that's not really geographically appropriate. But there's a lot on the table, and there's a lot of competing interests. We haven't even mentioned school choice, which isn't a big deal here, but the rest of my district is up in arms about losing their ability to tuition students down to Burton. So I'm glad I'm not in that committee, I'll tell you that. But there's a lot of well-meaning people disagreeing about the future of education in Vermont. Someone back there.
Yeah. Do I address to you, Mr. Moderator? Yes. Mr. Moderator, thank you. I'm actually running for school board in Andover. And Mr. Morrow, one of the things I would like to correct is that the town does not have an established school system. The way that the things are happening right now,
They would get to choose 3 schools to which they could send their students. And one of the things that's happening as a result of people who don't live in our communities making these random maps and then changing them again, is they're not taking into consideration that you have school districts and towns with different collective bargaining agreements, different health benefits, different geographies, different cost factors, and just by clicking, the map and making, fantasy school districts, you're not taking into consideration what are the things that school districts are doing well. In this district, Cavendish Elementary Schools had really high math scores, which is a standout when math scores are plummeting across the state. So what are they doing well? Act 73 and other funding changes that you're speaking about are looking to make more changes, but no one's looking at the accountability. What are the teachers and the educators in our district doing well, and where can we partner with neighboring school districts to take advantage of things that we might not have and they do, and vice versa.
Before you answer, Chris, would you mind standing and just stating your whole name again?
Sure.
And what you're
It's
running.
a spell everything.
Yes.
My name is Shayna Kalinski. I live on North Hill Road in Andover. I've been in education for 30 years, 30 plus years, and I'm currently a director of special education in a neighboring school district.
And you are running for?
Andover School Board.
Andover School Board.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
And I am not.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah, so there is an online map where you can go around and create school districts and play around with it. So if you're interested in doing that. And you know, one of the proposals is this, you create this region, a much larger district, and then you could designate up to 3 schools of where to send your kids. That's just one of many proposals that's on the table. And one other element of this that people don't really talk about that much but needs to be factored in is our agency of education is quite weak. It has been kind of decimated under the Scott administration in terms of numbers and in terms of talent. And one of the reasons we're in this conundrum now is the legislature back in 2018 passed a special education bill, which was supposed to bring special education costs under control, because the trends, all these trends have been very clear for years. And the Agency of Education just mishandled implementation of that act, and so it drove up costs further instead of controlling costs. And so, you know, a real concern is no matter what we do with this Act 73 and the maps and figuring out governance language, and we'll come up with something, it's an open question for a lot of us whether the agency can implement it the way it needs to be implemented to reach our goals. So, you know, the legislature has its role, but then the executive branch and its agencies have to be able to execute, and that's a major concern because the teachers and administrators at the local level need the state support and structure to be able to implement this properly. And you know, you talk to your principals and supervisory staff and ask them about the support they're getting from the Agency of Education. You'll hear directly.
Do we have other questions for Representative Morrow? And on the briefer side, this has been a really very complete report. Chris, thank you so much. Other questions? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Hank has appropriately suggested that I read the article that Scott has brought to share, and this is how it reads. This is the article that was on the Wyndham ballot, or is on the Wyndham ballot. Shall the town of X, let's say that shall the town of Andover, declare that the current statewide education funding system has failed the people of the town and is no longer capable of providing the equitable and convenient education guaranteed under the Vermont Constitution, and that repeated legislation in action, including the flawed implementation of Act 73, has produced unsustainable property tax burdens that disproportionately harms small rural towns. And if clarify for me, Scott, but I believe what will happen is if that is passed as an item on the Wyndham agenda, then it would be essentially a non-binding resolution. It doesn't mean that there are any enforcement teeth because there's no sort of legal standing, but it is a strong message to the legislature and to the state government that people are not happy with the way things are. So, Scott, you'll be available afterwards to answer questions and sign people up. I intend to, if I can, come to that information meeting. I think this is really important. I don't know how I feel about this resolution, but I think it's really important to kick it around, get more information, and so on. Yeah, Scott.
Wednesday, the
Yeah.
town window, how
Yeah.
how that went. And again, I brought it forth because it's just a little town of Wyndham. We're just a little town of Andover. Together, we're something. Chester's doing it, Baltimore's doing it tonight. This is all being brought forth. A bunch of towns around here.
Yes, Susan, before, just think about other non-binding business we want to do at this time.
This is completely unrelated. Well, nothing's completely unrelated, but I just think it's really important that all of us people of Andover who know and love our town so much, we should all be aware that the state is requiring us to make a new town plan sometime later in 2026. I can't remember the month. And I think
August.
it's, what?
August.
August 2026. It's around the corner. And it's kind of in Joe's wheelhouse, but nevertheless, I think it's very important for us to be aware that this is a chance. There's going to be a new town plan because it's required by the state, and I think it's really important for us to, it's a chance to say what we want. And there needs to be a community conversation, whether it goes through zoning or planning or the select board. It's all a conversation that we need to have together.
And just to add to that, the select board meetings are, a portion of them are always open to the public. The select board obviously retains the right to go into executive session, as they should, but there's always a public comment and public portion of that meeting. So, and they are on the, remind me of the dates? Second and fourth Mondays of every month, and that's on the town website if you need to look it up. Yes, I saw a hand over here. Yes.
My name is Ann Lane, and I request the opportunity to speak on behalf of the Chester Andover Family Center.
Yes, Ann, why don't you come forward? Thank you.
First, I would like to say thank you for all of your continued support of the Chester Andover Family Center. I would also like to apologize for the report not getting put into the town meeting notice. We made the request, and it was just an oversight on our part. So again, I just wanted to come and thank you all and let you know, for those of you who aren't familiar with the Chester Andover Family Center, we are a nonprofit organization that services Chester and Andover residents. We are based in Chester, and we provide financial assistance as well as food assistance with a food shelf, and we also have a thrift shop. And we want everyone to know that it is a low barrier access to these resources, and that we understand that people find themselves in tricky situations due to unexpected expenses, and that is what we are there for, to help bridge that gap when you find yourself in that situation. We have the financial assistance program is now being serviced by Neighborhood Connections because they provide a greater wraparound service for clients. But we are still supporting that financially, so they will send us an invoice every month. And also, as everybody knows, food prices have gone up, and that the Chester Andover Family Center, we purchase anywhere from 75% to 90% of the food that we offer at the food shelf. So that is obviously a big expense, and that is why the community support continues to be so incredibly helpful. So feel free to contact us, any of us from the board. Just call the number or look on the website, and we are there to help. So thank you for your support.
Two questions.
Yes.
Total operating budget and food budget as a breakout.
The total operating is $270, and our food, I have that here somewhere. Our financial assistance is $50, and I think the food is, let me do some quick math here, about $60.
Okay. Did everybody hear the breakout? Will you be around afterwards to answer questions as we?
I absolutely can be.
Great.
Ann Lamb, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for all your
Other non-binding business from the floor, or comments from the select board, or clarifications, anything that has happened tonight? Mark, yes.
Point of personal privilege, thank you for an excellently moderated meeting and for modeling an unyielding hope that the microphone will work.
I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you. Yes, Susan.
And I wanted to acknowledge Jonathan Stevens for his magnificent
Absolutely.
story about.
Yeah, yeah.
I believe I've heard it said in the town office that behind every Jeanette is a Jonathan. Other non-binding business or any perhaps motions to take the next steps in our meeting tonight, perhaps? Joe.
I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn has been made. Do we need a second for that, Joe?
Yes, indeed.
Is there a second? Scott has seconded. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. The meeting is over.
See you next year.